Welcome to the best of first-person episodes from Phantoms and Monsters. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified of all future uploads.
Our guardian angel. My dad recently told me this story and I was just amazed. I thought you guys would like to hear it. When I was young, about 3 or so, I was hospitalized and near death. I had a fever that just would not break and was passed out for most of the hospitalization. My dad, who has always been religious, wanted the hospital's priest to come say a prayer for me. So, the priest comes to pray for me, but something's not right about the guy. He never gives his name and has no Bible. He says the entire prayer in Latin and blesses me. Now, my parents aren't married yet, and since the priest is there, they ask why they haven't been able to have another child yet. They had been trying for about a year with no luck. The priest tells them that they won't have another child until they're married. The priest leaves after that and an hour later my fever breaks. The next day the hospital's priest comes to the room to say a prayer for me. My dad is confused and tells the man that someone had already come the day before, to which the man replies that no priests were on duty the day before. He checked with all of the hospital staff and their visitation book and everything, nothing turned up. No priest was in the previous day. He searched for years to find this priest that prayed for me, and he never found a single trace of him anywhere. A month after my mom and dad got married, my mom got pregnant with my brother. So, we'll never know who the mysterious man was, but I like to think he's our guardian angel. To this day my dad still has found no record of him, not even someone who looks like him. Someone was looking out for me that day though. I just wish I knew who.
Angels and the Red-Headed Woman. 22 years ago yesterday, I was in a horrific automobile accident and I died in a ditch line on the side of the road. I had an out-of-body experience and 2 angels, one on each side, touched my shoulder and told me, my work is not done here, and just slowly pushed me down and, long story short, I ended up in a Kentucky intensive care unit in a coma for 2 weeks, and as I came out of the coma, one of the most beautiful, Shirley Temple Locks, red-headed woman was sitting there holding my hand. I had no clue who this lady was and of course no way to vocalize anything because all of the tubes and everything that was down my throat, in my body and things, and she told me, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be okay. She was talking and I could hear her, but her mouth wasn't moving and she said, I'm going to get someone and I'll be right back. So, a few days later, when they had taken the tubes out and things, I asked all the nurses and all the hospital staff, just everything trying to find this lady. I just wanted to thank her and, she was such a great comfort at the time that happened. And to this day I don't know who she was or anything, and in my mind she has always been an angel.
Did I meet an angel? My mom passed away on April 23, 2016. She had COPD. I was pretty stressed out from watching her suffer. She suffered for about 5 years, with the last 13 months being the worst. On the October before she passed away, I had a decision to make, and that was to put her in hospice or not. I'm an only child and my dad couldn't make that decision, so he left it in my hands. I decided to put her in hospice. I wasn't comfortable with making that decision. I sat outside the nursing home asking and praying for help. Now I'm not a religious person. I do believe in God and Jesus and I am Lutheran, but I don't go to church. I had this incredible pull to go to St. Paul Cathedral in Minnesota, so my son and I drove there from Prescott, Wisconsin. I had no idea what I was looking for. As I sat in the front of the Jesus statue for about 20 minutes crying, there was nobody around. Not a priest, no one. My son and I decided to go downstairs and look at the history of the church, and that's when a priest came up to me. He didn't look like an ordinary priest. He had long dark curly red hair tied in the nape of his neck, reddish eyes. At that moment, I hadn't noticed any of that. I asked him about my mom and my decision, and he said hospice was a good thing. I also had another worry. My mother had an abortion when she was young and it weighed on her. Heaven, he said, is fair. He does judge harshly, but he loves all. He told me the whole story of John the Baptist. He told it so well that I felt like I was there. He assured me everything was going to be okay. He then asked if he could give me a hug, and I said okay, and it felt like the weight of the world just lifted off my shoulders, and then he had to go back to his flock. I wanted to go with him. It was such a peaceful and unconditional loving feeling. It was amazing. I forgot to thank him, and my son and I ran up after him on the stairs, and we heard what sounded like him tripping, and then what sounded like wings flapping, and then he was gone. We were only seconds behind him. He was nowhere in sight. However, there were people everywhere and priests all over, and they were all clean cut. No long hair. I truly believe my son and I met an angel, or perhaps even Jesus himself. I had no more anxiety about my mom's condition. It was really like the weight of the world just lifted off my shoulders. It was something I will never forget.
My guardian angel. This happened to me a few days ago, and also several years ago. I was in a terribly stupid car accident. I totaled my car. As luck would have it, my oldest didn't go through the windshield window. He was buckled. We were fighting. Just dumb stuff looking back on it, but after coming off a few months of heavy stress, it seemed important. It was bad. Anyhow, it was bad. No one was hurt too badly. 911 was called. A few people came to see if we were okay. And then I felt a hand on my shoulder. Hey, it's all going to be okay. Help is coming. You're gonna be alright. It was an old guy, scraggly, unkempt, no shoes. He disappeared as the emergency people got there within seconds of this man's arrival. My oldest remembers him. The other two in the car don't. 20 years ago I was in a head-on accident on a busy street. I kid you not, this guy came up to me and did the same thing. He said the same thing. It was the same guy. Everything was fine then, as well, eventually. It actually changed my entire life that day. It got me to a place I belonged. I think this was just a huge reminder to step back, take breath, love those you have and all around me. Life is way too short. If I could thank this man, I would 1,000-fold.
An angelic intervention. I was in a really bad time in my life and recently broke up with my girlfriend. Another girlfriend had just passed on a few years before that. I was horribly depressed, even at a gathering of friends at Borders where we gathered on Thursdays. So I sat out front on the sidewalk and had like a comatose posturing deal going on, just crying and crying for like 30 minutes straight. Friends came and went to check up and stuff, but a totally weird thing happened after about 30 to 45 minutes of going over the past few years in my head, how horrible everything was. Out of nowhere a lady touched me on the shoulder and said, like, "Can I help you?" or, "Is there anything I can do for you?" And my first thought was, please don't be another Christian who wants to pray for me. But I think I responded, to help me not mess up my life? Or something. I was bitter and angry. And it got weird. We kept talking, you know, and she's like, "So I just got a feeling passing by the West Oaks Mall, Ocoee, Florida, so it's like a big mall entrance kinda deal," and she said, "I had the random urge to drive right up here, into this parking lot, and walk right up to you." Weird, right? But then she starts talking about life and how she broke her rib, and how she's learned so much about life through the injury. Then we agree that the conversation was divinely gifted, and that God was talking through her. And I said, wow, sounds like it. So anyway, right after that, she says, "Your name is Adam, right?" Just like, total eyebrow, look over the shoulder moment. I'm like, yeah? And I look around to see if my friends put her up to all this, but they were still inside. And she continues, says, "You are going to change this world. You are going to use your gifts and talents to bring true joy, progress and change to this world." We kind of marvel at this statement, and she assures me again it is not her speaking but God speaking through her. She mentioned a few other things I can't quite recall, you know how these things work, but they were very personal things that she would have never known otherwise. I begged her for a human name, and she finally gave one. She said her name was Natalie. My heart and soul were broken open like a walnut by this experience, and I never saw her again. I guess it's God I have to thank for sending me this particular angel during a moment of absolute despair. AM.
This is Lon Strickler. If you like this program, it would help us if you would give it a thumbs up. Then subscribe and click the bell icon so you get notification when we upload new first-person encounters. We have many more to come very soon. And by the way, if you have a suggestion or an experience of your own, please leave a comment.